Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have, first I'm going to get something out of the way that I know that I've been saying I was going to get out of the way. A couple videos ago I took a poll on my video about being bored with the Reborn doll community. So I posed a question to all you good people, and I want to thank all of you who participated in the conversation in the comments, and also those of you who took the time to take the poll that was in the cards. So how many Reborn doll videos do you watch a day? Okay, so out of those who were polled, the options were 1 to 3 hours a day. Came back 48% of you said you watch 1 to 3 Reborn doll related videos a day. 4 to 6 of you, I'm sorry, 20% of you said you watch 4 to 6 Reborn doll related videos a day, and 15% of you said you watch 6 or more Reborn doll videos a day. And last but not least, 15% of you also said that some days I don't watch any at all. That's Reborn doll videos, Reborn doll related videos. So those are the results. I do have another poll or not another poll, but I do have a question for you guys at the end of this video. But now we're going to move on to story time. So what brings me to story time is we have another unfortunate scammer situation that has recently occurred in our community. I spoke about it a few months ago when it first happened, when it first started happening actually. I believe that the seller, who is the artist in this case, of the missing silicone doll, has handled the situation with a lot of decorum and respect for the community, as well as respect for the collector and buyer in this situation. I don't know if she's mentioning the collector or the buyer's name privately, but I know one thing for sure, that to make it as drama free so that people don't get distracted with the drama in it, she has not revealed the name of the person who bought the doll from her. However, like most, I think it's being handled very maturely that way. I think it's something that should be shared privately. But I also appreciate the fact that she is sharing this story at all. A lot of people are afraid to share their experiences on here, and some people do, and they do it very wildly and without being careful when they share what they're going to share. So my hat's off to Cheryl Martin, the seller and artist in this situation, for doing us, a good by sharing the experience. I know it's hard to share these type of experiences, especially when not everything has unfolded yet. The events have not all been played out. But where we're at, a couple months ago, I discussed, silicone scams in the community. There was the big one that involved the Romy Stridham doll, which is not related to Cheryl Martin's missing silicone. But I'm going to preface this by going over the Romy Stridham situation. So there was a Romy Stridham doll that went missing a couple years ago. There was a collector that sold her Romy Stridham doll to a buyer somewhere in the UK. When the box arrived to the buyer in the UK, the buyer in the UK claimed that the silicone doll was not in the box. PayPal sided with the buyer in this case, and she got a refund. The seller, on the other hand, with insurance and everything that she had, was out the doll and out her money. So very scary times out there for being a seller, a doll artist, and a doll collector who sells your dolls on to other collectors. Very scary times, especially since PayPal doesn't seem to be offering very many protections for the sellers. Okay, so that happened a couple years ago with the Romy Stridham doll, but move forward to 2018. This Romy Stridham doll is then spotted on eBay. Someone is trying to sell this stolen doll on eBay, giving the buyer the benefit of the doubt. Everyone just assumed this was the stolen doll. When the investigation went on, they came to find out that the person trying to sell the silicone doll was in fact the very same person who said she received an empty box with no Romy Stridham doll. Case closed. More things happening in 2018. We have the situation now with the Australian artist Cheryl Martin, who reported this in our Silicone group. She reported a couple months ago that similar to the Romy Stridham situation. The only thing is I'm not sure what country she sent it from. Cheryl Martin is in Australia. She sold the doll to somebody either in Canada or the US. I'm not quite sure of the buyer's location. Also, I don't know the buyer's name, which I think is fine. I'm sure that if I approached the artist privately, and I had reason to approach her privately, she would probably share that information, because we all like to look out for one another, you know, and as a community come together for these types of situations. You stay vigilant without attacking, without, you know, losing control and slinging mud. We can all handle it like adults, and I think Cheryl has been doing a phenomenal job considering what's going on of handling the situation. So the case of the silicone doll that Cheryl Martin sold to somebody either in Canada or the US, same situation. The buyer claims that the box was empty. 0 silicone doll in the box. PayPal sided with the buyer twice. The buyer gets back the money. Will this play out in a couple years, just like the Romy Stridham doll? It might. It very well might. When I first heard about this case, my immediate thoughts went to the Romy Stridham situation. You know, I do want to give the buyer the benefit of the doubt, though, because shouldn't we all at least be given the benefit of the doubt? I think we should. So we'll just have to see how this play out. It's going to be a shame if she is actually scamming the artist, but this is the scammy part about the whole situation. The buyer gets back their money. We don't know if the buyer in fact has the doll, but there are certain protections put in place by the postal services of all countries to ensure that this type of scamming doesn't happen, where somebody receives something and then claims it was empty or there was nothing there or stolen. When you ship something to another country, to another state, to another city, a big parcel, it gets weighed. This is the reason why they weigh it, not just to charge you for it, but to ensure, you know, this is a way to keep track of the package as it moves along to its final destination. So every stop that package makes, it gets weighed. The doll was weighed a certain amount, I'm sure, when it was shipped. And right now, as it seems, and according to Cheryl Martin's narrative of what happened, the buyer is refusing to do a claim through the post office, because putting in a claim would require for then the postal inspectors to investigate this crime, because essentially it is a crime. So they would have to investigate it, you know, to either one, find the culprit, and two, exonerate the postal service of any wrongdoing. So when you ship something, it weighs a certain amount. When it arrives to its destination, it is weighed again to make sure that it weighs the same amount as it did when it was shipped. So when the package arrived to her, we will not know if it arrived as the same weight, because the buyer refuses to put in a claim for the missing doll. She is satisfied with just getting a refund from PayPal, but has absolutely no empathy for the seller who is now out a doll and out her money. So that to me raises red flags. Like I said, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. I think that the right thing to do would be to file a claim with the post office so that they can do the proper investigation. But the post office will probably, when they get to the bottom of it, will find out when it was, you know, made it to their facility and out for delivery, when it was weighed for the last time. I'm sure the package weighed the same as it did when it was shipped, you know? I mean, you would think that she would just file a claim just to be exonerated herself, you know, of any wrongdoing. The buyer might want to be exonerated too, so file the claim. Because if they can prove that at some point the box weighed less before it arrived to her, then that exonerates her, and the doll is in fact missing. Therefore, the post office would pay the insurance that the seller paid for and refund the seller the money for the missing doll, because obviously there was a crime committed, and that's why we buy insurance when we ship and we sell. So that is the gist of the story. That is what I've gathered, the information that I've gathered. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. And my question for you today is, what do we do? What do we do as painters and artists who sell our dolls to the public, and as collectors who also sell our dolls? What can we do to ensure the protection and to lessen the amount of scams that happen this way? As a community, what would be the best solution for this? Now, my contribution to the conversation was basically, like I've seen some other artists doing, only offering friends and family. That way you can't get scammed. But then at the same time, that kind of leaves the buyer very vulnerable to being scammed by people that are also on the selling end, that are scamming people. I mean, we have scams running from sellers and buyers from both camps. So that's my question for you guys. What can we do as a community to to decrease the amount, these types of scams, or to discourage people from running these types of scams in our hobby? How are we going to deter those people from coming into our hobby to scam the good and decent people in our community? So I hope you enjoyed that story time, and I will be back with another video, the Q&A video finally, and that'll most likely be tomorrow or Monday. So I hope you guys enjoyed looking at Fabian. He looks totally gorgeous today in his mayoral romper. So stay tuned for that Q&A, and thanks for stopping by, and remember, watch this space for more.